Welcome to another episode of the Gull Mouth Action podcast, where we take a look at all the latest goings on at Brighton Hove Albion, Crawley Town and Sport in Sussex. I'm Matt Pohl, and this week I'm joined by Brighton Hove Albion writer Derren Howard, Crawley Town expert Mark Dunford and Sam Morton, who covers both the Seagulls and the Reds. The international break may be in full swing, but there are still plenty of things going on at Brighton. We'll bring you the latest on Roberto De Zerbi's future, take a look at some of the Albion stars who will feature for their countries during this international window, plus we'll look back at a superb result for Crawley Town that further underlined their League Two playoff ambitions. You can read all the stories we are talking about with videos and pictures online at sussexworld.co.uk/sport. And you can check out other great videos on shotstv.com and Freeview Channel 276. You may also be watching on Latest TV, so thank you very much for tuning in. But first, we will start with a question that has been asked many times this season about Albion head coach Roberto De Zerbi. Derren, what is the latest on his future, and have there been any more other clubs that have been linked with a potential move for the Italian?
Yeah, his name keeps on cropping up, doesn't it? It's every week, every day there seems to be a new name linked with him. Liverpool and Man United have been sort of the ones most linked, and a couple of clubs in Serie A as well, with Milan as well, and Naples as well coming up as well, Napoli. But he doesn't really help it, because he hasn't really come out and said a firm, like, I want to stay at Brighton, or so. The speculation is going to rumble on until he sort of, addresses it and says, no, I really want to stay at Brighton. But every comment he's made, it's sort of always open to however you want to take it. So he hasn't really been clear, but he does have a contract until June 2026. And hopefully, I think most Brighton fans would want him to stay there. I think I'd love for him to stay there as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if he did give it one more year. But then I also wouldn't be surprised if he left as well. If one of these top jobs came up and they really wanted him, it's going to be tough to say no to a Barcelona or a Liverpool or a Manchester United. But yeah, his average stay in management is around about 18 months in his previous roles. He's coming up to 2 years with Brighton now. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens this summer. But yeah, I don't know whether what happened in Roma, whether that would make the bigger clubs think twice about him. I hope it doesn't. But on one game, it's hard to make that rash judgment. I guess these clubs would look at his body of work over the last few years and then make a decision based on that. But no doubt that result in Roma did hurt. But yeah, unfortunately, no clearer really. And if anybody says they are, I probably wouldn't believe them anyway, really, unless it came from De Zerbi or Tony Bloom.
Well, meanwhile, 15 Albion players have been called up by their countries this international break, including Brighton skipper Lewis Dunk. The 32-year-old has been named in the England squad that will host Brazil and Belgium in a pair of friendlies this week. Sam Morton, do you think Lewis Dunk will feature in these games? And is there a chance that he could be a starter for England at this summer's Euros in Germany?
I think so, Matt. Yeah, absolutely. I think he's definitely on form, one of the best defenders in that England squad. And I think it's brilliant now that he's getting into the squad regularly. It's not just a rare thing anymore, which is fantastic, and it really shows how far he's come, really. And he's now, his kind of qualities are being recognised by Gareth Southgate and the rest of the team in England. So it's I think that's brilliant, and I think he would start both of these friendlies. I think he started most of the friendlies before this, so I think he'll definitely have another couple of games to impress, and hopefully he can make a claim to be in the squad for the Euros. And I think it'd be incredible if he is, really. But I think obviously with Harry Maguire and John Stones and Jared Branthwaite as well as another really good centre back for England, for Everton, and he's going to be pushing for position in the England team as well. So he's definitely got competition. But I think in terms of his experience, in terms of the qualities that he brings, not just defending, but his ball playing skills and everything like that, really, I think Lewis Dunk definitely is a good choice for England's defence, really, and can really just help them go far in the competition when they get there.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's got any chance of starting. He'll get in the squad, but he's not one of Southgate's favourites, is he? Quite clearly, he's done it. He should be in there, but yeah, I don't think he'll ever be that sort of regular starter for England. Unfortunately, give him the odd cap here and there, and it's like what the likes of Ben White is not gonna bother playing for England. It's it's a shame really, because it should be picked on form, but we know that Gareth Southgate doesn't do that, does he? So Crawley Gareth Southgate, I should mention. Sorry.
Yeah. I also think that game in Roma as well, where he made that mistake with Lukaku, that may stand against him as well.
It might, absolutely. Yeah, that was quite a bad error, wasn't it? But hope not. I want him to start because I think he deserves it, definitely.
Yeah.
Will anyone be watching those friendlies out of interest, England friendlies?
Only one friendly I'm going to try and keep up with, Matt, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh, yes, the big one.
Yeah.
I think that also continues our 100%, I don't know if you call it success rate, of asking whether you watched an England friendly and everyone's gone no. So, it's one to look forward to this week. Meanwhile, something that may well be of interest to Brighton fans is that Dennis Undav has received his first ever Germany call-up. The striker, who is currently on loan at German side Stuttgart, has netted 14 Bundesliga goals this season and has been selected alongside Albion hero Pascal Gross for Germany's friendlies against France and the Netherlands. It's obviously a huge achievement for Undav, isn't it, Derren? But has there, again, been any update on his Brighton future? I'm sure, no doubt, Albion fans would be desperate to see him replicate that kind of goal-scoring form at the Amex next season if he comes back.
Yeah, he's been really good. As you say, he's got 14 or 15 goals for Stuttgart this season, and he was just starting to show that type of form as well. Just before he left, he had a really strong end to the season, and I thought that may just be enough to keep him in De Zerbi's plans for this campaign. But apparently, he was keen to. He is obviously from Germany, and he wanted to go back to Germany for family reasons. He was quite keen on the move to Stuttgart. So it was a loss for Brighton in that respect. And you'd say that he would probably have had more of a contribution this season than what the likes of probably Ansu Fati has made, or perhaps even Evan Ferguson as well. He would have maybe had more options and more goals and assists to his game. But they do have an option to buy as well, Stuttgart. There has been talk of so he went there on a season-long loan. He's done really well, and they do have an option to buy as well at the end of the loan period. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do try and take up on that. There has been talks of a fee roughly around about 15 million, to secure the deal. Remember, Brighton bought him for around about 7 million from Union SG after he had a prolific season in Belgium. So personally, I would like to see him back at Brighton next season. I think there is a good Premier League striker in there, especially if you look at how he plays. Also with Welbeck and Ferguson, João Pedro. I think there is a place for Undav in amongst there as well, especially with the 5 substitutions that are in play at the moment. So I think it's going to be an interesting one to watch. But I hope he starts for Germany. I think he really deserves his call up. And Pascal Gross as well. Pascal Gross should have been a regular in the Germany team probably a couple of seasons ago, really. But two really good players, and it'd be good to see if they get some minutes for Germany in the international break.
And maybe add a few £1 million to his price tag, Derren, if he does well for Germany.
Yeah, there is that as well. If he bangs in a few goals in the Euros, that would certainly add to his price tag, which I'm sure Brighton would be hoping for. Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, among the Brighton international group, the likes of Julio Enciso, Pervis Estupiñán, Evan Ferguson and Simon Adingra have also been called up by their respective nations. Which Albion players will you be keeping an eye on during this international break, Sam? Will it be any of the players that we've mentioned, or is there some others that I've unfortunately not mentioned?
You mentioned Simon Adingra, and he's definitely one that I'll be looking forward to watching. I think he was obviously superb for the Ivory Coast in the Africa Cup of Nations. So he's definitely one of their key stars now, and he'll be looking to follow up on that. Obviously, for Brighton, he was brilliant when he returned and had a couple of quiet games. But I think in the first leg to in Rome, he was one of Brighton's best players, and he does seem to be at his best form on the left wing, because he moved over to the right at home against Roma, and he wasn't as effective. He wasn't really involved in the game as much. But as soon as he moved over to the left, suddenly you just saw a different side to his game, and that's the position he was playing for at the AFCON. So I think definitely he's one I'll be looking forward to seeing. And Valentin Barco as well. He might be lined up for an appearance or two for Argentina, hopefully. So It'll be interesting to see how he gets on, and obviously we're still looking to see more of him in a Brighton shirt as well. So yeah, interesting to see how they both get on.
And no injuries, I think, will probably what De Zerbi is praying for, I imagine.
Yeah,
absolutely. That'd be a bonus.
I think there's also the bonus, the fact that they're just international friendlies, aren't they? Not qualifiers, from what I understand. So maybe there won't be as much intensity. Is that a bonus, I suppose?
Yeah, I think that's probably the case, isn't it, Derren?
Yeah, I think there won't be so much, like you say, it won't be such an intense matches, and there tends to be a lot more substitutions in these in the friendly matches as well. So they won't be, playing sort of 90 minutes, 80 minutes, at the high level. They maybe sort of go for an hour and then, maybe withdrawn. So hopefully that will help Brighton, because the last thing they need is any more injuries.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck to the Albion contingent. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk all things Crawley Town. Crawley Town boosted their League Two playoff hopes with a fine 1-1 draw against second-place Stockport County on Monday evening. How would you sum up that performance, Sam Morton, and how big of a result is that for the Reds?
I thought it was a great result, really. I think it was a deserved point as well, I think, because I think Crawley had lots of the chances, especially in the first half. They were probably the team most likely to score. But Stockport were always a threat, and they're second place in the league for a reason. They had gone 6 games with just the 1 win going into it, where obviously Crawley had just lost it once in those 6 games and won 5 of them. So Crawley were definitely the form team. And you could see they were playing with confidence to begin with, and could have scored in the first half on another day. But the second half was a different story, and Stockport completely dominated Crawley for large parts of the second half. And Corey Adai made 2 absolutely superb saves, especially the second one. It was incredible. It shows how far he's come. But they did concede, and it was a real sloppy goal to concede from a Crawley point of view, where it was just left the man at the back post completely unmarked, to be honest. And it was a poor one to concede. And Stockport looked the more likely team to add to that as well. Crawley didn't respond well initially. And the fans will get a bit frustrated, a bit of a lack of urgency from them. But they don't give up, as we saw in the previous 2 games. And they managed to get an equaliser. And it was an absolutely superb goal again from Clyde Lolos, his 3rd goal in 3 games. And both him and Danilo Orsi were quite quiet in the game. And it's not the first time I've said that, where they can kind of go quite large periods, you don't really notice them, but they just turn out with a moment of absolute brilliance. And it was a 1-2 between the 2 kind of strikers, and Lolos was playing with him one-on-one, and you at no moment thought he was ever going to miss it. And he had a powerful straight into the top corner. So yeah, I definitely felt like a win in those circumstances, really. And if the game, I spoke to Scott Lindsay about it afterwards, actually, if the game had gone on for another 5 minutes longer, I think Crawley would have been the team to have nicked a win, because they look like the team most likely to get that winner. So definitely a positive result, and keeps that chase going on for the playoffs. And they've still got those all-important games in hand as well. So I think there was just only a little bit of element of disappointment with the draw, because if they had have won, they would have gone into the playoff places. So they knew what was at stake, and they knew what they could have got. But I think, against a team as high up in the league as Stockport, that are going for the title at the end of the day and an automatic promotion, I think a point's a really good result.
Sam's mentioned him there, Mark. Clyde Lolos, 3rd goal in as many games. He really is becoming the man at the moment for Crawley, isn't he?
He really is. And I think that we spotted it quite early on in the season, what a talent he was, but very raw. And Scott Lindsay always sort of praised him in that. But you look at his figures, he's played 37 games now, I think, got 8 goals, 4 assists, and he has been a revelation. And I was listening to a new Crawley Town podcast I heard the other day. Don't listen to it, listen to our one, it's much better. But they were saying that, I've forgotten my point now that I was criticising them. They're saying that
just listen to that podcast is the point, isn't it, Mark?
Exactly. He must be one of the most sort of underrated signings of the year, kind of thing, and big surprises. He's been absolutely fantastic. And actually, this after the game on Monday night, Scott Lindsay said actually at the moment they might be relying on him a little bit too much, because he has been pivotal in those last 3 games, coming from behind against Harrogate away, Notts County at home, and then Stockport. He has had a say in all of those games, and he is still only 23. He was playing for Oxford City last year. It's incredible what he's achieved this year, and again, it's a reflection on the recruitment that Crawley did. and the fact that the playoffs are in their hands is incredible. And certainly in the run, I think it's 5 wins, 2 draws in the last 8 games. Crawley Lolos has been instrumental in that run. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the Reds have now come back from behind to win or draw their last 3 League Two games. The Stockport clash also saw Crawley net in the final 10 minutes for the second time in a row to either snatch a point or take all 3 points. You've kind of alluded to it in your previous answer, Sam, but how vital has this never say die attitude been to their playoff charge?
Yeah, absolutely vital, really. I think the amount of points they've gained in the final 10 minutes of the game has really put them in a great position. Really, we've seen it so many times where they've been losing a game and they've scored a couple of goals towards the end and have either nicked a point or got the win. They scored obviously most recently against Notts County. They were losing the game and they got 2 goals in the last 10 minutes and won it 2-1. So they've really got a great fighting spirit. And it was a question that I asked Scott Lindsay about as well, just about kind of how great that is that he's got these players that can just play right until the final whistle. And yeah, he said it is absolutely brilliant. And he said at half time to his players that no matter what happens, don't panic, kind of thing. Because obviously Stockport is such a great team, second place for a reason. If they were to take the lead, there's no reason to panic at all. And you've got the quality to be able to turn it around. And that's obviously what we saw. And as I say, if the game had gone on for a bit longer, I'd have backed Crawley to have got that win. So it's brilliant. And long may it continue for Crawley.
It's fascinating when you talk to Scott Lindsay about certain things and that. There is a method to everything that happens in the game with Scott Lindsay. When it was the goal, the winner against Notts County, when Adeyemo scored, and it was a short corner routine that ended up with Adeyemo 20 yards out and he smashed it home. But Scott Lindsay, when you talk to him about different bits and that, because he knows the fans get a little bit frustrated when there's times when they're drawing or losing. And they're just passing the ball around and that. They're not really going for it. But he says, because how many times do you see that a ball gets pumped into the box for no reason and somebody scores? It's like one in 10, 1 in 20 even maybe. Even with a corner, how many goals do you see scored from a corner coming in and somebody either heading it or volleying it in or anything? It's not every time. So why do that every time? Have a slow build, and it is fascinating hearing Scott really talk about that, because you can tell he's thought about every element of the game, and that's why I think they've been so successful this year.
Do you think they'll make it? Do you think it's feasible playoffs?
Yes, I do. I've done a piece for the just an explainer of when the League Two playoffs etc. are, and within that piece I predicted what I think the result will. Well, not the result, but what the outcome of each game will be. So it doesn't look so good in the next 4 games, I must admit, from my prediction. I think I only win 1 of the next 4 games in my predictions, but they get enough points from the last 4 games to win. There's a couple of draws in there. I haven't just said they're going to lose and that. But they've got 9 games left, and if they go the way that I predicted, I think they get 74 points, and I think that'll be more than enough to secure their place in the playoffs. If they win every game now, they're in the playoffs. It's as simple as that. It's in their hands.
Yeah, Scott Lindsay did say, didn't he? Sorry, Matt. Scott Lindsay did say that Crawley are in the best position, really, to get that playoff place. When you look at where they are with the games in hand, and if the manager's saying that, he's probably saying that to his players as well. So there's definitely so much confidence in that team that they can get there. I think that's brilliant. I think Mark's mentioned it before that you don't often see managers want to talk about it and say that it's a possibility, but Scott is so open about the fact that he wants to get there, and that's definitely rubbed off on the players.
They seem to have that star quality in Lalos as well, don't they? So he can really, really make it happen on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm also quite glad, Mark, that you haven't gone full Mark Lawrenson when he did his BBC Sport score predictions, predicted Crawley to win every game like Liverpool would, who would invariably have an unbeaten season and win 38 games. So, yes, well done there. Good work. Very quickly, Brighton aren't the only Sussex club to have seen players called up for international duty this week. Crawley have also seen one of their stars selected by their country. Can you tell us which Red Devil will represent their nation, Mark, and when will they be playing? And by all accounts, it sounds like it's thoroughly deserved.
Oh, it is, yeah. Jay Williams, he's been absolutely brilliant this year. Arguably one of Crawley's player of the season. If he didn't pick up yellow cards every week, he would probably be the player of the season. But he's been fantastic, and he's been selected for St Kitts and St Nevis. And they're playing San Marino twice in the next week. So tonight at 7:45 kickoff, and Sunday I think it is. Or was it Sunday or Saturday?
I think it's definitely
Sunday.
this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, it's great. It's great for him because again, he's another one who was playing National League North last year, I think, with Banbury or Brackley Town, Banbury, one of the two.
I think Banbury.
It was Banbury, and then he signed for Brackley, and then Crawley went in and took him. That's the what happened. But he is, another young player, another one plucked out non-league, and he's been one of the best defenders in League Two that I've seen this year. He does have to watch himself with his yellow cards and that, but he has been fantastic, and he's a really good footballer, and he just breaks play up really well. But he's not just like a hard man who's going to sort of get in tough tackles and that. He does use the ball really well, and it's great for him, and it's great for Crawley to have that recognition that one of this season. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on against San Marino, the big one. Yeah.
This might be showing my ignorance a little bit here, Mark, but have Crawley ever had a full international play from while they've been at the club? I remember that they had an Irish striker there was an Irish striker who used to
James Collins.
Yeah,
James Collins. There have been. You put me on the spot there. Yeah, no, that's all right. I know that they've had a lot of like under 21s and Gwion Edwards when he played for Crawley. There was another Welsh, Scott Davis, I think, possibly Welsh. But yeah, they've had quite a few. Matt Sadler, I think that was another one. I'm not sure if they've had sort of like proper full international whilst playing for Crawley. But I'm sure there'll be plenty of Reds fans to correct me. So please come on Twitter and let me know.
I do apologise for putting you on the spot, but I'm just interested. We will combine this question into two, as this is the only game that concerns us for the score predictions this week. Crawley are off to 14th place Tranmere in League Two. They sit just 6 points behind the Reds. Mark Dunford, how do you see this one going, and what score are you predicting?
Well, it's going to be really tough because Tranmere have beaten Mansfield and Wrexham, pretty much the two people going to guarantee promotion this year in the last two games. So I think it'll be tough, but I have predicted a draw. I think Crawley, the way they're playing, they will pick up something at Tranmere.
Sam, do you see it being... I was going to say, do you share Mark's thoughts? Are you also going for a draw down in the Wirral?
No, I'm going for a win for Crawley. Tranmere haven't lost since February, so they're due a loss. And they are 6 points below, but Crawley have got 2 games in hand. So if you just balance that out, Crawley are quite significantly higher up in terms of form and everything. I think Crawley will get the win, and it'll put them into playoff places.
Would you say they're due a lolos? No.
Due a lolos.
Darren, finally, before we wrap this up, how do you see that one going?
Lolos inflicts first lolos. I'm going to go 2-2. 2-2.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you very much for your time. As ever, chaps, you can catch up with all the latest sports news covering everything we've talked about today at sussexworld.co.uk/sport, and you can watch more excellent videos on shotstv.com and Freeview Channel 276. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you all next week.